And speaking of graphic design and art, we now want to introduce Francesca Polistina, who's going to introduce ArtSync.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. I'm going to start us off with a video about my project.
Hi, I'm Francesca and I'm the brain behind ArtSync. This idea came to me during COVID lockdown. I threw myself into my art, and part of that meant feeling more isolated. I turned my art into a small business, and I really wanted to get my work out into my local community, but I had no idea how. I felt that I lacked the connections and resources to do so. I also really wanted to meet other local artists, but I didn't even know where to start. And this feeling did not go away when I returned to Emerson after a year of online classes. There are so many creative artists within the Emerson community, but I had no idea how to meet them. When I would walk to class and see the beautifully painted electrical boxes, I would think something similar. How do I become a part of this? How do I make one of these? By the time I finally tracked down the right website, it was too late. They were no longer accepting applications. I yearned for a place where I could connect with local artists, stay up to date with all things art news within my community, and find a way to sell my art within my community at a cost point that made sense for the artist. I know I'm not alone in this feeling. I never was. And since I couldn't find that place, I have created that place with ArtSync, one app for all things art within your community.
Welcome to ArtSync. So in our simplest terms, we are LinkedIn, Etsy, and Nextdoor for artists all in one app. So right now, it is clear that artists lack a platform that provides them with local connection as well as a local marketplace. ArtSync is different because it's created by me, an artist. I bring a unique perspective to this idea, and I know how to focus it around artists and art enthusiasts. So there are three main sections within the ArtSync app. First, it is the community connection. That's for people and artists like me to be able to connect with one another within their community. This is a great way to strengthen your community ties and get to know how to get more involved within your community. The next section is the local art news and opportunity. This would be where I would have found an opportunity to paint those electrical boxes. And furthermore, you could also stay up to date with any sort of pop-up galleries and museum openings, and that's also great for art enthusiasts. The last section is the local digital marketplace. This is very important because as an artist, I can understand the struggle of being a small business. At ArtSync, we do not take a portion of commissions from artist sales on the app. It also provides people within a local community a space to shop local artists and support their small businesses. We are the intersection of local networks and local marketplace. We provide an opportunity for artists and art enthusiasts to get in sync with their artistic culture within their community. So this is a loose 2-year timeline projection. The first portion is app design and development, which is very important to us. During this time, we would be doing fundraising in order to make sure that we can get our app everything that it needs. The next stage is testing and finalizing. During this time, we would have a call for local artists so that we could hear from our potential consumers exactly what they need. During this time, we would fine-tune everything that we need within our app to ensure that it runs smoothly and that it provides everything and all of the resources that artists and enthusiasts need. Then, the most exciting part is the app launch. During the app launch, we would also run an ad campaign and promotions. One idea for an engaging promotion is to have a stand within the public where local artists are able to paint live in front of people walking by. We would even invite the community to pick up a paintbrush and get in on the fun. Next, we have the post-launch support and maintenance. This is extremely important because we want to make sure that after our app is launched, it runs as beautifully as we hope it will. Post-launch advertising will be very important for us because we will utilize social media networks in order to push our campaign, as well as all of the artistic opportunities within our community, such as partnering with museums. It would also be a good place for us to partner with podcasts that focus on art so that we could get into an audience where we already know our artists are looking. Our minimum viable proposition or product is an app that would originally run out for iOS. This would be needing $250,000 to begin because this is a complex app, it's not a simple one. iOS would be an easy place to start and then roll out later on in later versions. It would begin in Boston because there is such a rich culture of arts and there are so many students. During this time, we would still focus on the three main sectors that maintain our core values, which is the creator feed, local news, and a local marketplace. In the future, we would look at implementing more features based on what our audience has to say, but for now, this is what we will stick to. Here is a prototype for the app. On the opening page, you would be able to see artwork of different local artists. When you would click on it, you would get a preview of their account, but you would have to sign in to be able to fully view their page. For myself, I would join as an artist, and in that case, I would be able to make connections with other artists. You could also join as a supporter, which is an art enthusiast who wants to get more information on art news within their area. Here is one sample of our free-form profile design. This gives artists the opportunity to have full control over how their art is viewed. For my example, I chose to mimic the style of my website, in which you could click on my sculptures, my hand-painted denim jacket, or a mixed media design to find more of my similar works. The alternative is a more typical grid-style design, which is easy for people looking to get put their art out there quickly and have it in a seamless format. Then you can see our search area. The first thing that would come up if you were looking for a large mixed media painting would be a promoted piece. So that means that someone is paying to have their page or item promoted. Then you would see the top seller, which is something that you earn by being a top seller in your community and having good ratings from your customers. Then you would get all of the organic and natural search results. Below, you can see an example of an in-app advertisement. All of our in-app advertisements would be related to artists and art. I chose Blick because that's something that I often go to, and you can clearly see that it's a promotion because I want to be transparent. Below that, you can see a personal example of a promoted artwork. So it very clearly says promoted, so people know that I'm paying to have my art shown there, and you could click on my profile to learn more about my piece and me. In terms of monetization, we are running on a freemium model, so we will have in-app advertisements that are always relevant, but then the opportunity for paid app removal. Furthermore, there will be personal page promotions so that artists can truly get their work out into their communities. In terms of measuring success, as an app, we're really looking for engagement. So this means downloads, ratings and reviews, sales and satisfaction, community impact, importantly. And lastly, of course, on the financial side, we would love to break even. So now that you've heard about ArtSync, are you ready to get in sync with your local arts?
Thank you so much, Francesca. And just to share a little something, we just learned today that I get to have Francesca in the capstone class. So, Brent, I have you to thank for that. And I am so looking forward to seeing more of the work that we can do together.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. So I'm going to start this one off with Andy, or as we call him, Minky.
Wonder why.
There's a lot of things going on here, right? We're talking about multiple platforms, multiple functionality. I think you talked about LinkedIn, Etsy, Nextdoor. Was there another one in there too?
Just those three for now.
Okay, just those. So Andy, I would love to hear your feelings about it, how you would go about building something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and thanks for having me. I have to make one general comment so far. I love the aesthetic, and ArtSync is no exception to that, of all these presentations, and especially the use of color is outstanding, and how it actually seems to enhance the idea a little bit by looking at these colors in this presentation. I love it. So there's one thing that I really like about this idea, because I'm an app developer and I'm also an illustrator. And I think there's so much in the wider internet community about like how you might promote your work and stuff. And I love the local aspect of this. And I think it really can work to your advantage on how local artists who do installations or have projects, things like that, also want, to show them off. They want some attention to them that, they might generate sales from that. They might just generate, fame, so to speak. And ArtSync can really use PR in a way to its advantage when things are happening locally to kind of help that artist like promote that type of thing, and also promote the app through that effort, which is really cool. And PR can be a spiky marketing type of mechanism because it happens and then it dies down. But because artists are constantly doing things and there's always things to promote, I think it could be kind of a more of a regular mechanism than it usually is. The one piece of feedback I have kind of involves the timeline of 2 years and the cost. And I think I would encourage you to think about somehow paring that down considerably and thinking about it, putting it more in a box and saying, what could you do in 4 months, 3 to 4 months? Really get the idea down to, its essence and say, we know that these handful of things are going to be important and it's the core of the idea. And we're going to do that, and we're going to launch, and we're going to have a beta, and we're going to get some attention. And from there, we're going to communicate with our users, with the artists and the supporters, and see what they want next, and try to grow the idea from that point. Because 2 years with your head down in an echo chamber is a very, very long time. And I would encourage you to make that a little bit more iterative. But other than that, I think you have something here. I think it's a pretty excellent idea.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And I'd like to now hear from Brent, who not only is a chair and professor, but also a musician.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. And a former developer many, many years ago, right? I guess once a developer, always a developer. But so I really appreciate this idea, because I'm always interested in hearing how artists want to cultivate community such that you're bringing creator and supporter together, right? There's something of a symbiosis there that I'm never quite convinced we really, really tapped into, right? So I think you're onto something as well. A couple considerations for you. When you say local, maybe consider a few ways to operationalize that. So might local mean metro? Might local be hyper local? Might local be defined by time, right? By a moment, right? So kind of that pop-up store variety. So there might be moments where the radius of what you're doing is maybe 1 mile. There might be moments it's 30 miles. So it depends on where you're operating in the artist community. That said, I'm going to kind of, I think, leverage some of what Andy said. One of the things I've tried to stress for clients is to not have this thing we call developer's curse, right? And that is basically one can become so fixated on what makes the idea so great, they end up building out too much before they hear from enough people about what they really want. So I would reiterate kind of what Andy said. Find those core elements to the thing, to the market offering, right? It wouldn't be what it is without 1 or 2, not more than 3 key things. And then hear from your community what it is they want more of, what it is they might want less of, or how they want something provided for them. And there might be some really good opportunities to co-create with them, right? Such that, as you use the term creator to represent the artists, we might find in community that supporters can create some market offering for you, since engagement is really the currency for you. But wonderful idea, so I can't wait to see this happen. So
thank you so much.
Thank you, Brent.
Great.